So, theology, theo logoi, a word about the gods. If I would have to define really veritably the outlook that I have on life, on divinity, my simulation, my projection of divinity, as we all have some, if we are believing in the forces out there, is an ontological realist, panentheist, and henotheist. That means, how do I understand the divinity, the gods, the goddesses? They are the masks of the pleroma. They are the masks that individuated and are the forefronts of the multiple forces and powers of the universe. Sometimes they are embodied in the co-emergence of the cosmoi, the order. Divinity coincides with it and entombs and vaults itself in all the possible forms. Like some Arabic treatises on plants, minerals, animals, divinity is entombed and vaulted within them. And as it co-evolves, it rectifies multiple forms, new biological forms, new etheric forms, new daimonic forms into something greater. Of course, I don't posit some eternal progress. I posit pockets of entropy, of order, disorder, harmony, destruction, disharmony, cacophony in various sectors of the universe. It's not a perfect isometry, so to say. It's not a hypersymmetry. It's something that is different in various worlds, but it unites with the Einsteinian physical objective reality. The laws are the same everywhere in all sectors of the universe. Although only the laws we know, there are manifold laws that are occulted, unseen, and perhaps never to be discovered by the mortal race. For example, if we take the divinity of the sun, the heliacal theology, it's an object with hypergranulation, thermonuclear fusion, with great heat with its core, with the 12-year time repolarization period, the solar cycle. But if we perceive it, sia, hieroglyph for perception, as something divine, then we see it as the corridor of fire, the multitudes of phoenixes or angels singing the Trisagion, the deities associated with the sun, whether Sol or Helios or Amaterasu. These are the, let's say, fronts of the sun, of its nature, just like with the planetary spheres. The original meaning of an archon, for example, an archon of Jupiter, is the nature of Jupiter. Every object has its nature. And in hyperstasis, it has a divine nature. In hypostasis, reified, it has physical properties of form, of all the what physical sciences try to understand. So going back to the physical sciences, it is very important, strict sciences. However, it is researching the shadows of numinous, shadows of philosophical essences. What our astronomers, physicists research about the sun is but a shadow of what it is in its totality, as an ion, as the emasculation of Hyperion, Zervanakarana, so on and so on. The visible star is Helios. And so in the Plutarchian discourse, the philosopher was having several stages. Those who are acknowledging divinity, those who are conversant of divinity, those who inquire in divinity, and those who act upon divinity, and those who cooperate with it in theurgy. Homosis theo, theon ergon. You work as a mortal to sculpt certain things in yourself, and you cooperate. The gods take over, and they sculpt in you in order for you to join the divine procession. Now, there are forces that I believe are unindividuated, pure forces like, let's say, Shakti, and Vasana is tainting them with natures, with certain inclinations, to teleology or aimfulness. When something has an inclination, it works towards an aim, not intentional aim, but it works towards a certain state. That's teleology. However, when it has power and certain intention, for example, an idea, an active idea, purest idea merging with the subject of its action, then we have something that is an intelligent agent. For example, a deity, a agathos daimon, a god, a spirit, a muse, even shadows of the dead, they have some teleologies of their memories. They move from state to state of lost things, nostalgic. So I'm not here to give lectures on theology or the theoria of the hyperstructure, the structure and substructure of what I believe is working for me. I wanted to summarize that it is good to, if you're a philosopher or an active magician, to have your structure in place. It is as if you build structure, condense it, forget about it, deconstruct, build a new one, and that's how it should be understood. Solve coagula. You solve, there is a solution here. After building up great structure and understanding, you dissolve it. It is incorporated into you. That is how you progress with alchemical work, with the great work. You incorporate things that you already know, you carry on and discover new things, incorporate and expand. And you need to contract something into final crystallization, you need to expand at first. Expand with your experience, with your knowledge, episteme, with your practice, whether magical ceremonies, rites, meditations, prayers, whatsoever. And soon, from an absolute amateur, a beginner, after years that has just simple anomalies and induces induction into a general framework, you are capable of deducing why something works in metaphysics, why it doesn't. You stage a hypothesis and you test it in inductive deductive feedback loop. But it must expand in order for you to have substance matter, content, to understand anything at all. So if you're interested at all in, let's say, I wouldn't call it a personal agnosis, more like a philosophy that works for me. I've left multiple lectures behind, 12 books behind. And if you find them of any use, let me know. If you want to discuss them, let me know too. I like to correspond. I like to write epistolography with people who are co-travelers on this path. I don't put airs on myself, although I, let's say, wore many crowns and many wreaths of laurels, Caesarized. However, still more human than human. Everything is more humane than anything else in this world as a mortal human being with flesh. Daimon, immortal perhaps, but still a human being. So reach out if you wish, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.